Okay, here is a picture of the life cycle of the Cnidarian, the jellyfish. So you can see up here to the right where we have the Medusa form, which is the bell and the tentacles. That's what they typically call it. So here we have a female and a male. The female can release eggs. The male's going to release sperm. When they join, they're going to form a zygote. Now again, eggs and sperm are haploid because they have half of the genetic information. When they join, the ziploid is going to be, the zygote is going to be diploid. So the zygote is eventually going to have this intermediate form called a larva, and the larva is free swimming. Now the larva is going to settle onto a reef or the bottom of the ocean, and this is what we call the polyp form because the polyp is sessile. But if you notice, guys, look at this. This is just the inverted form of the Medusa. So when the polyp, this is the juvenile form because it's young, it's going to stick, and through asexual reproduction, it'll undergo budding, and then when that happens, we're back, and it's going to eventually become the Medusa form. So this is a typical life cycle of most of our jellyfish. However, there are types of jellyfish that are hermaphrodites, where they have the eggs and the sperm within the same jellyfish, and that is a type of asexual reproduction. So, I'm sorry, it's not asexual, it's where they have both. They just don't need two different medusas to carry out that life cycle. So these are the two body forms. The Medusa is the adult form, and the polyp is the juvenile form. And this is the typical life cycle where one releases eggs, the other releases sperm, undergoes sexual reproduction, forming a zygote. Eventually that becomes a free-swimming larva, which will go to the bottom of the ocean or to a reef, and then it is going to bud off, and that polyp form now is sessile. It's the juvenile form. Once it buds off, now we're back to the Medusa form. Okay, there are 4 classes of jellyfish: Anthozoa, Scyphozoa, Cubozoa, Hydrozoa. I don't know if y'all ever paid attention, but in Finding Nemo, when the science teacher has them all at the beginning and he is singing, and he's singing his song, he is singing the classes of jellyfish. So he goes through them all. So that's, pretty scientifically correct there. Anthozoa is our first. Anthozoa is the corals and sea anemones. And you know the sea anemone, that's what Nemo lives in. And sea anemones are always, as well as corals, in the polyp form when they're adults. Scyphozoa are mostly our common jellyfish. This is where most of our species of jellyfish fall, and these are commonly called the swimming jellies. Cubozoa. Now, cube is a box, so this is our box jellyfish. And if you know anything about box jellyfish, they are extremely dangerous, and sometimes they're commonly called the sea wasp. Hydrozoa. This is our hydroids or siphonophores. Siphonophores, these are colonies of smaller jellyfish. And you may have heard of the Portuguese man of war, for he's not the largest of the jellyfish. I believe the largest of the jellyfish is called the moon jellyfish. This jellyfish, though, in the annals of history, caused a lot of people who were shipwrecked to die because their tentacles got wrapped around them and they panicked. The Portuguese man of war overall is not as poisonous in their barbs as the cubozoans are, but people would panic, and of course they were being stung and they would end up drowning. So siphonophores mean that there's colonies of these highly specialized individuals. So when you see a Portuguese man of war or any other jellyfish on the shore, don't mess with them because they can still sting you from there. They still have that hydrostatic pressure built up in back of their nematocyst, and they can still sting you. And sometimes that happens with people thinking they're dead when they're on the shore, and actually they're not, because there are many, many, many different colonies of smaller jellyfish. All right, scientific name, Chironex fleckeri. This is the scientific name of your box jellyfish, also known as the sea wasp. The stings cause anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis is a reaction in which you can't breathe. Very, very serious allergic reaction. And it releases a very, very bad poison into the system that comes on very rapidly. So it's not something you're going to feel 24 hours later. You're going to feel it right away. Symptoms include a rash, your throat and tongue swell up. This is a problem. It makes it hard to breathe. You get very short of breath. Vomiting can ensue. The box jellyfish can kill a human within 2 to 5 minutes. They have 24 ocelli. Now, their ocelli are a lot more specialized in that they have 2 of them that are specialized to see color. The other 22 can pick up a little bit of motion, but are basically for detecting light, but they do have 2 of these that can see in color. So this is a very, very, very dangerous type of jellyfish, and is mostly located in Australian waters. We don't have box jellyfish in the Gulf. We don't have them in the Pacific Ocean. They're pretty localized to Australia. So they can kill you in a very short period of time. Now, there is a very, very teeny, teeny, tiny one. Now, he is a box jellyfish as well, but he's teeny tiny. They say he is smaller than the fingernail on your pinky finger, and he's called Irriganji. He's the smallest of your box jellyfish. He is the most venomous jellyfish in the world. Causes brain hemorrhage and causes death within a very, very short period of time. They don't know a lot about this jellyfish because he is so teeny tiny. He's very, very small, and he's very fragile. And so when you're trying to study jellyfish and you're trying to look for them, they're very, very hard to find. But they are also found in the warm waters of Australia. And what makes them even doubly more dangerous is because you don't see them coming, because they are so tiny and they can slip through the holes in the nets. A lot of time in Australia, they will net off areas of the beach that you can swim. Basically, they have tons and tons of great white sharks, and so they do it for that reason. But they also have men in boats, they're biologists in boats, and they go out and they pick the box jellyfish up. Now, these are the larger box jellyfish, the Chironex fleckeri. And the top of the bell, the top of the medusa form is called the bell, and that bell doesn't have the stinging cells in it. So they can go by and they can pick up these jellyfish from the bell, and they put them in coolers and they keep them alive. They will either put them in some of the aquariums or they'll carry them further out into the ocean. They don't harm them, but they keep them out of the swimming area for tourists and people who want to swim offshore. Well, Irriganji, that you can't see them, and they can get through the teeny, teeny, tiny parts of the net, and so people are basically swimming at their own risk. And a lot of times people swim, they're swimming in full wetsuits, but these Irriganji have been known to sting the portions of your face if you don't have a full face mask on, and they can be very, very dangerous.